For more than an hour, he railed against the media, against the Democrats, and even against some members of his own party as he continued on in this campaign-style rally that was held in Phoenix, Arizona last night. You're quite right. He was not on teleprompter. He was off script, and he was taking aim at some of his favorite targets. And we'll start with the media as they got about 30 minutes devoted to them of this more than hour-long speech that he delivered last night. In particular, Trump seemed to be particularly stung by all the criticism that he's been receiving about his response to the white nationalist rally in Charlottesville and the violence, the clashes that followed that. We know that there was a lot of pressure being put on him in order to denounce the white nationalists and white supremacists, and there was a lot of calls that his initial response was not adequate. Now, that criticism didn't just come from media, but it was really from members of his own party as well. In fact, House Speaker Paul Ryan said that in his first response to Charlottesville, Donald Trump messed up. Now, this is the second time on Tuesday, last night, that we saw Donald Trump even pull out that first response and tried to say that actually it was perfect, but he omitted the phrase that got him into trouble the first time, saying that there was violence and that he was denouncing many sides. Take a listen to Donald Trump.
So I'm condemning the strongest possible terms, egregious display, hatred, bigotry, and violence. Okay, I think you can't do much better, right? Okay, but they didn't want to put this on. They had it on initially, but then when they talked, he didn't say it fast enough. He didn't do it on time. Why did it take a day? He must be a racist. It took a day.
So that, again, was just one of the groups that's high on his hit list, the members of the media. We also heard him take jabs at senators in which he was in their state, in Arizona. For example, we heard him take jabs at Senator John McCain without actually naming him. We know that they have openly sparred. He also talked about threatening to shut down the government if there's not funding approval for the border wall. That's an important point to make in Arizona, of course, for his base there. And he also hinted towards the possible pardon for former Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Now, this is a controversial figure in Arizona. This is a sheriff who was accused of racial profiling. He was convicted of criminal contempt. And so we know that Donald Trump said that he didn't come out and say that he was going to offer the pardon because he said it would be too controversial to do so last night, Heather.
So, Arthi, if he won, as he did, praise for his more measured address 2 nights ago, there he was right back to his usual bluster and style, and as we've said, throwing out a lot of criticism in a lot of different directions. So what kind of response has there been now?
You know, it's interesting. Some people are saying, how can we be surprised? This is the Donald Trump that we saw on the campaign trail, and certainly he's not going to change now that he is in the White House, despite what we may have seen during that Afghan strategy address on Monday night. So some of the reaction, for example, we heard from the former Director of National Intelligence. He had a bit of a scathing review for Trump's speech. Take a listen.
I've toiled in one capacity or another for every president since and including John F. Kennedy through President Obama. And I don't know when I've listened and watched something like this from a president that I found more disturbing. I really question his ability to, his fitness to be in this office.
And as for reaction from Republicans, we're still waiting to hear what members of the party have to say. But we know that Donald Trump's relationship, for example, with the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has been disintegrating. In fact, there are reports from the New York Times that they haven't been speaking for weeks now. And in fact, quietly, Mitch McConnell has been questioning whether or not Trump will be able to salvage this administration, given what has happened over the past few weeks.
That was a pretty extraordinary piece of reporting there in the New York Times. Arthi Pohl in Washington, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This video into us this morning shows what happened after Trump's rally ended. Clouds of tear gas filled the streets as protesters clashed with police. Phoenix police blame protesters, saying they threw rocks and bottles at them. 4 people were arrested. Anti-Trump protesters and his supporters had squared off ahead of the rally, but that was trouble-free.